Hi, this is Nikhil and I am going to demonstrate the quick test professional basic and the advanced level course. In this session we are going to introduce the course contents, that is the topics we are covering in the subsequent sessions. Also we're going to see what are the advanced level topics that can be covered in the advanced sessions, and we'll see why QTP is the most important tool in the market and it's why it is most popular. Let us introduce the quick test professional. QTP is a functional and a regression testing tool which was developed by Mercury and now it is acquired by HP. It is easier to use for both technical and non-technical testers. The person with the non-technical background can easily automate the script and he can execute the script using the QTP IDE. QTP has acquired the more than 50% share of the market leaders. That's why it's the most popular tool in the market. Because of its scripting language, it's very easy to use and people are more getting familiar with this tool because of its features. So let us see few silent features of the QTP. QTP is using the scripting language as a VB script, which is very easier to learn and understand. Uh, Tutorials are available on the internet or demo sessions are available for the VB script, so people can learn the VB script very easily to get familiar with the QTP scripting language. Person with the non-technical background can run the test without knowing knowledge of the QTP. If a BA tester wants to execute the test from QC, then QTP has provided the business process testing, which from which a non-technical person can just run the automation script from QC. It uses the keyword driven approach, which requires the less programming skills. People with the non-technical background will have to just learn the QTP concept and they can easily code their script in the QTP. QTP also supports all or almost all the major development environments like .NET, Web, Active, WPF, Silverlight, Web Services, Java. That's why people most likely to use the QTP as their primary tool for the automation. HP support will be available for all the uh, development environments if you are using some add-ins and if you have some hiccups in using those add-ins, or if you are installing some patches and if you are not able to identify the your application, then QTP supports is always there from the HP. So that's why most of the industries are now adopt the QTP as their automation tool, and they just go on learning the QTP tools to their testers and uh, start automating their script. The QTP sessions has been divided into some sub levels like basic and advanced, and we are covering almost all the topics related to QTP and related to the scripting. So start from the installation. Introduction will go into the QTP add-ins and the frameworks. In the installation and the basic requirements, we'll see what all the basic requirements that your computer should have when you are going to install the QTP, what your processor should be, uh, what is the hard disk space that is required. Then we'll give some guidelines before installing the QTP. Then we'll have the screen navigations, how uh, the installation is going to be worked on your actual machine. Then we'll see what is the seat license and the concurrent license, and how you can install those licenses on your machine. Then in the introduction we'll compare the manual testing with the automation testing, what are the benefits of the automation. Then we'll open the QTP and we'll see what are basic components of the QTP, what are the windows, what are its global options and settings, uh, how to access the add-in manager, and how to see the license type. Then we'll get introduced to the QTP object recognition concept. Then we'll see how the QTP actually works. Then we'll record a sample script and we'll see what all files it has been created and what are uses of those files, so while it runs the scripts. Then uh, we'll execute a sample test and we'll try to enhance the sample test, and we'll see how you can do the modification into your script. Also, objects are the main parts of the QTP, and we'll learn how the QTP is trying to identify the objects and how it creates the object repository, and we'll see what are the types of object repository. We'll compare the local and the shared repositories. Then we'll see the object spy, the features of the object spy, how to access the native properties and how to access the identification properties, what are the identification properties are. Then we'll see how to configure the object identification using the mandatory and the assistive properties and ordinary identifier. Then we'll create the shared object repository and we'll see how to associate that shared object repository into your test. Then if you have the multiple object repository, then we'll compare and try to merge those shared object repositories. Also we'll update local object into the shared repository. Then in the next session we'll see the different checkpoints, uh, introduction to the checkpoints, test, bitmap, text area, standard, database checkpoint, then XML checkpoint. Then we'll see the synchronization point, when and what types of synchronization point you can use. Then how to view the test reports, what are the contents of the test reports and different options that are present on the test reports. We'll see how to filter your result. Then if you want to add any custom step into your report, then how you can add that. Then we'll get introduced to the database and data driven test. If you have data and you want to put that data into your application and check whether it accept that data, then we'll see how the data table can be associated with your test. And we'll see what are the different methods, that is import, export, add sheet, delete sheet, then get current row, how it works. Then we'll see the parameterization using the test action parameter or environmental variables and datasheet. Then we'll see the input and the output parameters, how to get the output parameters from the test and how to supply the input parameter to the test. Then in the next session we'll see how to create a function and the function libraries. Then there will be the different built-in function. We'll get introduced to the all built-in functions like date time conversion functions, format, maths, array, strings and others. And we'll see how we can create a well-defined function using the function definition generator and what is its use and how it is useful in your script. Then we'll see how you can associate your function library to your test using the script and using QTP. Then uh, we'll see how regular expressions are useful in the QTP and when it is used for the object repositories and in the checkpoints, and how you can effectively utilize the regular expression for identifying the objects. Also, we'll see one example of a regular expression in the descriptive programming. We'll get introduced to the environmental variables, that is built-in environmental variables and the user defined environmental variable. We'll create the environmental XML file and we'll associate that environmental file to your test and we'll access the variables in your test. Then we'll introduce the actions, action properties, parameters and the iterations types. Then we'll get introduced to the call new actions, then existing and the call to the copy. Then we'll see different modes of recordings, what are the context sensitive mode, and that is normal mode, and we'll see the example of the analog and the low level mode. Then we'll see the exception handling, uh, when the exception handling will be used, and for the exception handling, how you can use the recovery scenario manager. We'll see the different wizard options and how you can associate your recovery scenario with your test. Also, we'll navigate through the recovery scenario wizard and the triggered event and the operations that it will perform while uh, if you are getting any error at the time of execution. For creating the functions and the uh, scripting at the background, you need to be some knowledge of the web script, so we'll get idea of the how you can create the script and what are different types of data types, variables and the constant that are used in the web script, what are the different arithmetic and logical operators used in the scripting, and then if then else statement, then select case, do while, for next, for each, and we'll see an example of the looping construct so that people will not face any hiccups while they create their scripting. Also we'll get introduced to the arrays and the functions. So we'll create some arrays and we'll use some built-in functions for those arrays, and we'll see some example on that. Again, the file handling is the uh, main part, which is in the advanced session. So we'll try to read the Excel files, then we'll try to read the text files, and we'll add some fields in the Excel, then we'll try to delete and create the file, and we'll see what are different syntax for that, how you can create the objects for Excel file, and then few sample scenarios with file handling. Then we'll be having the sample script for connecting to the database. uh, we'll see how to create a connection string, uh, what is the easiest way that you can uh, connect to the database for Oracle SQL Server or MS Access or MySQL or any database. um, we can also see how to connect to the Excel sheet using the ADO DB connection and the ODBC connection, and we'll read and write the fields from the database. So in this session we'll have the idea of the VB scripting, and then how to handle the different files, and then how to connect to the different databases. Then in the next session we'll get introduced to the descriptive programming, what are its features, what are its types, and how to create a description object, and how to create the collection of the description object, and how you can access the description object in your script. Then we'll see what are different types of frameworks available in the market, and we'll see what are the points you need to be considered while choosing your framework. So we'll we'll be having one sample keyword driven framework, and we'll create a sample script and run the script through the framework, and we'll see how the results are going to be in the using this framework. And also we'll see what are different folder structures are there uh, in the framework. Then in the next section we'll see QTP add-ins and the patches. So if you there are 15 QTP add-ins available in the QTP 11 version, and we'll get introduced to those add-ins, and we'll see what are different patches required to be run when you are using some different environment. So we will have the list of all the patches, and we'll so slowly get introduced to the different patches, and uh, the different add-ins that are been used by the QTP. Also we'll see how to install the patch or the add-ins if you have already installed the QTP, and how to install the add-ins license. Few topics that can be discussed in the advanced topic as what is there in the QTP 11.5, and how to access your processes or application running in your computer, and you want to uh, access the CPU usage or the memory usage uh, run by the application. So we'll see the sample script how to create and we'll access the application and see the memory usage and the CPU usage. So we'll see sample test for the web services. Then as already told, we'll see a sample keyword driven framework. Then if you are running the trial version, then you may have to uninstall and install the QTP. So it is better to run that trial version on the virtual machine, and you will use the QTP trial version for the next couple of days to try it more. So we'll see installing the QTP on the virtual machine. Then we'll see how to run the QTP on the remote machine. Then we'll get introduced to the DOM object and the components. So we'll slowly get familiar with the components that VB script can access, and Outlook object. Using the Outlook object, we can have a sample script where you can send a email to anybody from your computer. And then lastly, we'll see the send keys, that is a WSH script object that will be used to enter the keys from the your keyboard. So overall, the session covers everything. We'll have the PowerPoint slides, we will have the practical sessions, demo recordings available for next 6 months. And if you have any questions, then the support will be available from us. I hope you will definitely enjoy the overall sessions and its topics. Thank you.